So the insanity has infected Canadians as well. In Ontario, the Ontario School Board has voted to remove the name Sir John A. McDonald from the schools to make Indigenous people feel better about themselves.
I went to Sir John A. McDonald.
We both
did, yeah.
To Sir John A. McDonald here in Calgary.
That's right. Then we went to John G. Diefenbaker
Yep.
High School. Our elementary school was named
Huntington Hills.
Yeah, it wasn't
just
named
Huntington
Hills
Elementary.
Yeah.
And so they want to get rid of the name Sir John A. McDonald because he was responsible for a Indigenous people genocide. And there's an author. He wrote a new book, and that's what happens when you write new books and stuff like that. So James Daschek, a professor of history at the University of Regina and author of a book called Clearing the Plains, where he talks about how the Canadian government was complicit in starving the Indian people out of house and home during the time when they were trying to build the Trans-Canada Railway. Now, whether or not it's true, because people can distort reality to fit their point of view. Now, a lot of these things aren't taught in history. Kind of whitewash certain things in history. If John A. McDonald was actually responsible for doing something like this, let's teach it in history. It's like
don't in Germany, don't they have like museums of like Nazis and stuff like that to remind people of the wrongs that were done? And in Japan, didn't they leave up one building that was, and they
have a huge memorial in Nagasaki, I think.
And but the building there is exactly how it was after the nuclear attack, right? Yeah. So that people are reminded of what happened, and they're taught so that they don't do it again. Like Nazism is taught in schools in Europe because of what happened. They don't shy away
over it.
That's like a Western thing, isn't it? Like it's North American thing where we just we want to forget about it. We want to tuck it away.
I think it's more of because Nazism was only like 60 years ago, whereas the Sir John A. McDonald was like 150 years ago, right? There's a 100-year difference in between.
Yeah, I get that, but still,
we're only just starting to uncover certain truth. We're starting to look at the past and go, oh, you know what?
But this is like the game of telephone. Remember when you played telephone in school, and you would start off in a big circle of 20 or 30 people, and the dog ran fast would be the original story, and it would come back to you of the peanut is a great fruit.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Like, these are all stories being passed along generation to generation. So there's going to be omissions, additions, changes, to romance or to discredit or to do anything like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, so to me, to sit here and to take away, like, if you're an indigenous person, a Native American, whatever you want to be called, and you're offended by a name, I think you need to give yourself a look in the mirror and go, why am I offended by this name? Because of the happenings that have not been. Maybe that's racist of me. Not like it hasn't happened to you. I get it's been the past. Maybe you should look at that name and go, well, how can I help avoid this happening again? Maybe it should be a reminder of there was bad things. Maybe he did whatever people are saying he did. Maybe we should be reminded and not follow the same path to go down that line again.
I think it should be. Wait. It would be almost like finding out that Madame Curie was a pedophile. Right? All of a sudden you find out that she's a pedophile, and
who's that? Who's Madame Curie?
Penicillin.
Oh, okay, right.
Right?
And then we got to get rid of penicillin because she was a pedophile.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, great. She did something really horrible. She did something really good. They don't cancel each other out. You just have to go, we still can use the good that happened. the first Prime Minister, he created Canada. If it wasn't for him, Canada would probably be 2 or 3 different countries.
It'd be more like Europe.
Yeah.
Where it's divided into smaller countries and smaller...
or part of the states type thing. And, they want to erase that aspect of history. And it's like, okay, I get it. They did bad things, but... he was responsible for residential schools. They're saying that he was responsible for genocide. And it's just like, genocide is it's being thrown around too easily.
I think words are being thrown around too easily.
And it's just like...
Because when you think of genocide...
maybe I'm going to argue semantics here, but like, people... starving people... is a form of killing, yes, but genocide is an activeness to go out and kill people. Whereas,
So Hitler was genocide. Right?
Yeah,
I would classify that as genocide.
But starving people...
Is that what he's accused of doing, starving people? Like Sir John A. McDonald? He said...
they're saying that he was responsible for starving huge swaths of land of the of Indians... when they were trying to build a railway. And, again, reading stuff on this is like, well, some people are saying that all the Indian tribes that had no government help actually did better than the Indian tribes that had government help. Right? So it's like, well, is it because the government was purposely doing this, or, type thing? And then the residential schools, which has been brought up a lot here in Canada, and it's just like, I'm thinking, it's like, all these people that have been affected by the residential schools, there's a lasting mark, but, again, this sounds really bad, but in 20 years, how many of them are still going to be alive? Now, their effect is being passed on to their children, yes, but... shouldn't there be some aspect of responsibility on their part going, yes, this fucked me over. The government should be, helping me out, but I should be trying to do something for my children. But these people, I don't know.
I'm just confused, and I'm worried about the path that we're going down as civilization, as humanity, because we're all so offended, and we're all so, we're soft in a way. We're growing very soft, and it's like, to me, I'm not about the suck it up and deal with it. You don't have to do that, but at the same time, I'm not like, hey, wrap me in bubble wrap and protect me from everything. Yeah. I'm somewhere in the middle, Like, when you're raising your children, I'm gonna let them fall down. I'm going to let them do things that I know are stupid.
So they can learn
lessons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'm just confused on why... So should we just not name anything anymore?
Well, that's the thing.
Nameless? What school did you go to? That one?
Yeah, but it's kind of like, we're supposed to be able to celebrate our past. And, indigenous people are saying, it's like, well, you can't. He's a murderer. And it's like,
I went to Sir John A. McDonald through junior high, which was grade 7, 8, 9, I believe. Yep. So how old would I have been? 13, 14, 15?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
That was 15 years ago.
Yep.
That school was named Sir John A. McDonald 15 years ago when I went to it. And it was named that long before that. Now it's a problem? Today, 2017, it's a problem. They're not talking about the school that I specifically went to.
No, but they're calling for everything Sir John A. McDonald across Canada to be not named.
So I guess it is the school that I went to.
It will be.
And so why is it a problem now?
I don't... Well, because Indigenous people have a voice. And it's just like, I think Indigenous people...
They've always had a voice.
They need to start worrying about the problems that they have in their own yard instead of just like, because, we can't have Indigenous people go to this school because they're going to feel bad. And I'm like, Are you telling horror stories?
Yeah,
about
are you telling them that they're going to go to this
Sir
school?
John A. McDonald? Yeah.
Are you telling them, if you go to this school, you're going to end up starving to death?
It was like, you go to this school, he's a murderer of our kind. I'm like,
you're going to get murdered in this school. What? No, you're not. You're going to go to school and get an education.
Canada as a whole didn't go out and slaughter Indians, not like the Americans did. Because, the American Indians fought a very, very long, bloody war, and there was a lot of bad stuff on both ends. If what this book is saying is, like, the Canadian government starved Indians, that is a horrible thing and needs to be investigated, but Canada has taken steps towards saying, we are sorry. But the past is exactly that.
At what
Can't do anything about it.
At what point? Imagine you're in a...
We can teach people in schools, like, the Canadian government was complicit in certain aspects. We are not, like, full... And then, we should take respect towards Indigenous people. We should, blah, blah, blah. And I get that. But to sit there and go, you gotta wipe his name clean from the slate because he did this. And, like... Sure, if we had a name school called Adolf Hitler, he did a horrible, horrible thing. But Sir John A. McDonald, he created Canada. If he starved Indians,
I just wonder at what
sending
point
the army to go kill them.
I just wonder at what point do we just have to let the past go and let just move towards the future? Because if we always are looking behind us, we're going to run into a pole. You know what I mean? Like, I just imagine you're in a marriage, right? And you're with your current wife, but you're always talking about and comparing her to a past girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Imagine how long that relationship's going to last. It's not going to last. It's never going to work because you're always looking behind you. Here again, if we're always looking behind us, we're probably going to miss something ahead of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, at what point do we just go, you know what, that's the past, we're going to learn from it, we're going to move forward in the following ways. Let's not look back there. Let's not continuously bring it up. Let's just move forward. Let's build a better future for us, for our children, and for everybody. But I think, it's all stemming from what's happening in the U.S. right now. They're tearing down monuments,
statues, etc. Because the SJWs as a whole have a greater voice, and people are going, "Well, we got to do this." It's like, no,
we don't. Because why do we have to do it now?
Point, I guess a straw man argument is like, well, when do they stop? Because at what point in time does whose morality do we?
We've talked about it before in the show. Go check it out. When you sit there and try to regulate something that's subjective, such as hate or morals. What line do you use? Mm-hmm. Because everybody's morals are different. Everybody's hate is different. Everybody, when you're trying to go on a sliding scale of something like that, you can't do that. You know what I mean? You can't regulate it. You can't put a law on it. And it baffles my mind that this is the sword that people want to die on.
Yeah, because it's gonna. People, again, residential schools, people saying they were horrible things, and it's like, okay, they were horrible things. These people, you get them into treatment centers, you help them out, make sure that they can...
They gotta want to help themselves, too.
Yeah,
if you continually just want to continue down the same path, it's 2017, and if you sit there and saying that your people are still the same way they were in 150 years ago... Sometimes, at some point, you've got to look in the mirror and go, what have we done to continually be at this point?
Because there are plenty of examples of Indian tribes going, we don't want this. We want to be different. And they go to they renegotiate with the government going, we want to be part of a different treaty. This is what we want. And the government goes, okay.
Fuck off with the tree.
The Indians right now should be taking advantage of this prime minister who said, I'm with the indigenous people, and go, well, let's renegotiate what we have because what we have isn't working. And I think there's plenty of examples of how it's going isn't working, and it needs to change, but nobody wants to change.
I've said this many times before, and I'm going to keep saying it when it comes to stuff like this. When you sit there and you look at indigenous people and you put, because there's emotion behind it. Imagine if you look at a crackhead, right? No, I'm not comparing crackheads to Indians.
An analogy.
An analogy. That's what I'm doing. Okay. If you take somebody who has an addiction, okay, and you go, and they have an addiction when they're 20, and you look at them and go, they're 40, right, and they still have that addiction, and they're blaming it on you, and for what you've done in the past. Well, at what point do you have to look in the mirror and go, maybe we need to take some responsibility on ourselves?
Because, okay,
I'm not saying
using that
indigenous
analogy,
people are to blame for what happened. No. I'm saying if you're still in the same spot, maybe you guys need to look in the mirror and go, how can we change it? How can we better ourselves? Because betterment comes from within. You know, that addict who is still an addict 20 years later has never wanted to get help. My inner fat self has finally lost weight because I finally wanted to. Not because somebody told me to. It's because I wanted to. Mm-hmm. And that's where it comes from. And it's just... So those white supremacists and those ANAFTA people... Antifa. Whatever. Assholes. The assholes
on both sides.
That's right. They're not going to change. Their hate is always going to be there until that line of hate is stopped, until it's not taught to the younger generation. So these indigenous people, if you keep teaching them that these people are bad, they're going to continually think that. Mm-hmm. Sir John A McDonald is bad. Well, does that teenage boy over there know that? No, they were told that.
15-year-old right now, was he affected by Sir John A McDonald?
Not directly, no. Was his great grandpa? Maybe, yeah.
Yes, but he's 15 right now.
At some point,
you should be a parent and start teaching him. Yes, we've had it bad in the past, but you know what? The government is willing to do
you have opportunities
and this for us. Maybe we should start taking advantage of this and this and this.
We as a civilization have so much opportunity right now. It's hard. Some of us have more opportunity than others. Yes, absolutely. For what reason is that? I don't know. Is it because I'm white? Maybe. I don't know. Is it because I live with it? Not me personally, but is it because you have a rich family? Is it because you come from a family of athletes? Is it? Yes, everybody has different opportunities. There are opportunities, but somebody who comes from nothing can make something of themselves. But if you're constantly being told you can't, then you won't be able to. Wow, that sounded totally weird, eh? That sounded totally kumbaya.
I was just about to say kumbaya.
Kumbaya,
yeah.
my darling, kumbaya.
We've had many discussions, and we kind of always get to this point.
Because it's all, to me...
Yeah, it's
the root of the problem. It's like a fraction.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's always a root.
You know, people need to start stop talking. And we're talking.
Then people need to not be scared to have the hard conversations. You know what I mean? Like, when you're having a conversation, it's okay to get a little bit heated. It's okay to get into a little bit of a debate. And it's okay to have opposite views of things. You know, like, I don't know. I'm just...
Yeah, we're at that point.
I'm getting just tired of just... I'm just getting tired of hearing news stories about, let's take a name. So if you take a name off the school, is everything going to be better now? Is your addict's son or daughter, or you're in prison, incarcerated prison, gonna be better now?
To be honest, it would be very. At this point in time, I wish our grandma was alive.
Yeah, because have a conversation with
we could have a conversation with her and go, "Hey, you are. Does it make a difference to you?"
Exactly,
because you know, it's interesting how the younger indigenous people are saying, "Oh, it affects us." It's like
Are you going to start getting straight A's now? Are you going to...
Yeah.
Are you going to suddenly stop being a criminal? Like,
because as much as they say it's like, oh, there's a rampant abuse, it's like, well, out of every 1,000 people, how many people were abused? How many people... Anyways. It's a curiosity thing.
I'm very curious, and I would love to, if anybody out there, somebody out there can write in the comments below and tell us how you, as a younger native, how does taking the name off of a school affect you? How will it positively affect you, and how does it negatively affect you now that the name of Sir John A. McDonald is on a school or on a road or something like that? How does it affect you? In a negative or a positive way? What would it do? What's your end game here? That's what I want to know. Was it asked in the article? What's the end game for taking the names off the school?
Because it gives them a safe space.
Yeah, okay.
And it's just like, well,
whatever.
Why? Yeah. We're done.
Hate us, like us, comment, subscribe, but tell us below why. See you guys later.